there's some information that we were given that the woman we're going to speak with is kind of characterizing this as a form of abuse, not physical abuse, but she is saying that I believe her mother and others at the Rome home, which closed at the end of April, were mistreated by staff, and she's actually kind of upset in the way they handled the closing as it relates to the immediate family members contacting them, and she's on the phone now to tell us about it.
All right, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. All right, give us some background here. What happened here?
Well, I had to put my family member in the Rome home due to illness. It wasn't a choice. I had an easy choice, but I had to make it.
Yeah.
And when I put my family member in there, which was towards the end of last year, apparently I put my family member in there in December.
Yeah.
And apparently they knew they'd been closing for over 8 months, and they still took not only my family member but others, knowing that they were closing.
How long would you have had? So obviously they knew there's income there, so they'd be able to.
So about like 4 months.
You had about 4 months.
Right.
Okay.
But why would you take someone knowing that you're closing and uproot them and
can I ask you
to life upside down and tear their life apart after them thinking that their home, that's going to be their home from now on, and they make new friends and whatnot, and the family gets okay that now their family member is safe and everything and being taken care of. Well, you have to work and do whatever you have to do. Why would they do that?
Okay, can I just ask you to pick up the phone? And are you on a speakerphone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't have you on a speakerphone.
Okay.
If you don't mind, if you could pick up, because I can't understand. I'm unable to understand.
I'm here.
Much better. Okay, so you're saying, why would they allow me to put my mother or whatever relative you were putting in there, a family member, why would they allow me to put this family member in here when you know it's going to be closing in 4 months? We go through all of this to get her in or him in, and they get to know people, they get to become accustomed to the place, and then we got to move them. Is that your contention?
Well, because it's not easy getting a family member in a home. I'm not sure if you've ever had to do it or not, but there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through, a lot of paperwork, and then to do everything else, they did the paperwork wrong, and they never fixed it, and my mother did not get her supplement Social Security for 2 months, and they still insisted and fought me and wanted my mother to still pay it.
Wow.
And I said, well, where would you like her to get the money?
Yeah.
She lives paycheck to paycheck, Social Security. You didn't do your paperwork right.
Right.
And that's not on me. We did our share. We did whatever we had to do. Since you didn't do your paperwork right, how would you like her to pay you?
And then
I fought it, and then she didn't have to in the end because I fought it so much, and I refused it. And I said, I'll just go to a lawyer. I'll do what I have to do. But this is not our fault. It's yours. You're going to have to eat the cost. Well, I just kept getting told we have bills to pay.
Yeah.
Well, I really don't care. That's not my fault. And you should have did your paperwork right. I don't know what to tell you.
Now, you filed with the state health department?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. And part of...
so as other family members.
And other
family members.
So part of your anger... I'm told is also the way, it's not just the fact that they took you and took your mom and allowed you to move in as if everything was going to be long-term, and so they deceived you.
Yeah.
But then when it was time to get out, you're upset with the way you were treated then, too, right? And the way your mother was treated.
And let me be clear. It's not all but one. Only one staff wasn't that great to my mother.
Okay.
And I didn't find out about it till towards the end, or I would have turned her in sooner. It was all the board members, all but one. There was only one decent board member as well. But other than that, it was all the board members. The only decent board member, her name was Gretchen.
Okay.
I don't mind mentioning her name.
Okay. So you say you by certain members of the staff and by the board, you're saying you were treated poorly. In what way?
Well, part of my mother's condition is because due to her health, she has memory loss. You tell her something, and 5 minutes later she'll ask you again.
Mm-hmm.
And they know this, as well as she has heart disease, very bad. She's high seizure stroke risk, and that's why she's there. She's had 10 strokes and seizures in less than 2 years. Just to name a few things, she has panic and anxiety issues, and what they would do is they would constantly call me practically every day, or they would stop me when I would walk in the building. You know, you have to get your mother out. You know, she can't stay here. She can't live here anymore. You know, we have to get your mother out. Then they would tell my mother. They would go up to her room, or if she did come down for dinner or lunch or something, a meal, they would contact her and say to her, you have to get out. You can't live here anymore. To the point where I went there, and my mother said to me, they're telling me I have to move. Why do I have to move? What did I do wrong? I didn't do anything. I followed the rules. What did I do? Why are they being mean? Why are they kicking me out? What did I do? And I tried explaining to my mother every time they did this, it wasn't you, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
Every time they did it, knowing that's elder abuse, in my opinion. That's abuse. You don't do that knowing somebody has issues.
So now this home is no longer in business, right?
No
longer
they closed as of April 30th, but how they notified the family, the day that we had that really bad storm where everything was closed down on March 15th, they contacted the family at 6:30 at night and said, you have to be at the facility at 7 o'clock. We're having a meeting. We're closing our facility. We got a half-hour notice to be there in the storm.
Wow.
We went, and then we got a 30-day notice to get our family members out.
Can I ask, you had shared a story as well about, I believe, an elderly gentleman who, I guess, ended up renting his own apartment a couple of blocks away and was, physically. Can you tell us that?
This was the very last day when I was moving my mother out. We saw one of her resident members, that she knew there, and he was taking one of those like wired carts that you see people wheeling like some of their groceries and whatnot down the road in. And we saw him, and I'm thinking, what's he doing? So when he came back the next time, because we were loading cars and trucks, I said, hi, what you doing? And I said, are you moving out? And he said, yep, I have to. They told me I have to get out. Now, mind you, this poor gentleman has nobody. Nobody.
Yeah.
And I said, well, where are you going? And he said, to the, and I said, you're walking there? And now, mind you, this was the day that it was raining, blowing, windy, crazy, damp and everything. And I said, well, do you have any help? Nope. So just as I'm trying to talk to him, they come out of the office, the two board members that are the worst, and said, how much more do you have? You have to get out. You have to hurry up. Do you have any more? How much more do you have?
Wow.
Instead of offering to help this gentleman who's alone and help him move his things, they're, pushing him along like that. And I said, well, if you want to wait, I said, obviously now we're all loaded up with my mom. I can help you.
Yeah.
And he said, no, that's okay. He said, I'll be okay. I only have a couple more loads.
So tell me.
And he was walking up and down the street with his things instead of them helping him.
And tell me, is there any of this still in organization? Is the board still?
The board, yes. The board is still there.
All right. So
they have to be because they're selling off the things in there.
Okay.
And everybody wants to know where's the money going. It's all antiques. Most of it's antiques. And if they're closing, the week that they're closing, why did they put in a brand new security system along with brand new kitchen cupboards? And how about there's other repairs that should have been made while people were living there instead of making them live in those conditions?
Right.
No, they're putting it in after you close. Why?
Okay.
Why would you do that?
All right, so we're going to we'll reach out to the board and see if we can get them on, and let's see where we can go from here. We will work along with Jeff, and we'll let you know. Hopefully, we can have them tomorrow.
Can I just ask one more thing? Were you given a reason as to why they were closing?
No. They just said, we're closing. When people asked, the only thing they said, they can't afford to stay open anymore. No. And when people started questioning them, where's all the money going? You guys got inheritance. You got 2 endowments. There's one family member that paid extra rent for 7 years just to help them out. Or was it, maybe it was 2 years, I'm not sure, but it was a few years anyway.
In some cases, they have to turn over all of their belongings to the facility, and then they know they'll be there for the rest of their lives, most likely.
Right.
So that's
then
gone.
The worst part was when there was another gentleman who had nobody. They were going through. They told him they'd help him pack. Their idea of helping him pack was they were throwing away his personal things without his knowledge, saying he's not going to need this. He's not going to need this. Let's just hurry up and get rid of this. He'll never know.
Wow.
Is this is a privately owned business that you know of?
It's a non-for-profit. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we're going to see if we can dig in and get their side of the story, and then maybe
I have a lot more. I mean, I have a lot more that your head would spin on.
Yeah. I think my head's spinning right now. I can't believe what you've already. I mean, it's just heartless what you described.
How about the lawyer for the facility is a board member's husband? How isn't that
I don't know that there's any wrongdoing there.
Yeah. But let's get them on. Let's see what they have to say. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for taking the time. And we, again, keep in contact with Jeff, and we'll take this next step.
Okay, that'd be great. Right. And there are other people you can contact. There's lots of other family members that are willing to talk. And
well, it sounds like there are legal matters here, especially if people have given, they paid rent for down the road, if they've given belongings and expected to be able to live there for the rest of their lives. You have some real legal issues going on here. So chances are they're going to tell us they're not able to talk. But, hey, let's give it a shot. All right?
Right. I'm sure they won't talk because they've already kicked the TV station out.
Okay.
When they went there, they've already kicked them out.
All right. Well, let's see what happens. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it, Lisa.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's terrible. That's really, really terrible. If all of what she says is true, that's terrible. I'll break. We'll come back.